time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to forgive and a time to forget. Dreams we dream sometime never die. We carry them on until they become someone else's dreams. A friend of mine had such a dream. I met her at a truck stop just outside of Phoenix. We both worked there. Her dream came true, I know. The key to her dream was a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go." She was a lovely girl, pretty smile, but behind all this I could see a troubled mind. She told me when she met the guy that won her heart and made her life a joy. And before too long, more happiness came, a little baby boy. Things wasn't too bad, his job wasn't much, but somehow they got by. And then came the day he drove home a big truck, and the little boy became so overjoyed, just like when he saw his first fall of snow. He kept hollering, "Giddy up, go, Daddy, giddy up, go." Then a dark cloud moved in. A few years later, without warning, after a few visits with her doctor, he said it was just a matter of time. She knew she'd have to move to a drier climate, and this troubled her mind. So without leaving a trace, she took her son and left town one night. She settled here, and we became the closest of friends. We talked from time to time, and she'd smile, and her eyes would glow when she'd tell me about Giddy Up Go. Each time a truck would pull in, I could see her stand and stare. Wasn't long before she had to give up being a waitress here, and she moved on out of town, not too far. We visited almost every week. The boy now's almost grown. He's the image of his dad, she'd say, the most handsomest man I've ever known. The dark cloud once more moved in, and as I stood close by, once again she told her story. I could see a tear in her eye. I know my son longs for the road, and the last request she had, let him become a truck driver, like son, like dad. The boy soon left town, I never knew for where. But I find myself watching every truck that pulled in around the curve. Giddy Up Go was the only link that held between the two, and I was hoping that I could be of help. It became a dream to me too. Just now I froze in my tracks as I watched two trucks pull in, a big new shiny diesel and an old one following him. I couldn't help staring as they walked in, ordered coffee, and talked a while. Then I saw them leave, both wearing such a smile. They walked out to the old truck, brushed off some dirt so the nameplate would show. And before my eyes, a little sign that read, "Giddy up, go."
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. Well, sir, I'm just as proud and happy to be down here with all you fine folks, and handsome fellers, too. Now, they are. Sure enough, I've been looking at them. I just look. It don't do no good, but I still look. It's kind of like going down to the depot and watching the trains go by. You love to hear the whistle even if you ain't going nowhere. But I did have two nice-looking fellers kind of look at me tonight as I was walking in out there. There was two of the handsomest fellers standing there, and I looked over at them and smiled, and they looked over at me and laughed out loud. One of them said to the other, he said, "I believe that's the ugliest woman I ever seen in my life." The other one said, "Yes, she's awful ugly, but she might be a pretty good old girl. You know, beauty's only skin deep." And the other one said, "Well, let's skin her." See, I can't help the way I look. When they passed around looks, I thought they said books, and I said, give me a funny one. Well, so this other feller, he says to me, he says, now, I believe I recognize that girl. Said, that's that Minnie Pearl. Said, she's been down there at the Grand Ole Opry for 175 and a half years. He said, she carries on like she's from the country. He said, I bet she ain't from the country. He said, I bet she don't know a goose from a gander. I turned around, I said, well, at Grinder's Switch, we don't worry about that. We just put them all out there together and let them figure it out for themselves. Oh, so far we ain't had no complaints, hardly at all, you might say. Well, so though my feller, he had a fit about me coming off over here. You know, he gets worried about me when I leave Grinder's Switch and come over here to Nashville. He does. He worries. He said, one of these nights, you'll get over there around that Grand Ole Opry, and one of them fellas over there will run off with you. I wish they would. I just said that because it's so. No, he said last night he come by the house. And, oh, you know, it is so romantical. It is late. It's about 8:30, I reckon. And we was sitting there on the double settee in the front room, and I was sitting by him, and him by me, and one by each, and each by the other. We was just sitting there. Oh, it is romantical, except for one thing. We got a great big old tall grandfather clock. Stands away tall against the wall, and it ticks slow. Every time my fella comes over there to keep me company, sound like that old clock saying, take your time, take your time. I ought to get one of my fast ticking little clocks that goes, get together, get together, get together. Ain't this awful grown girl of 18 up here carrying on so silly? He said, what would you do? We're sitting there just looking at one another, just like two frogs under a collard leaf and it a-raining. He said, what would you do if you was to get off up there around where all them handsome fellers are up there in the city and run up on a bunch of one of them fast fellers, them city broke fellers that'd just kiss you at the drop of a hat? What would you do? I said, I reckon I'd be all time dropping my hat. I ain't had no trouble yet. I'm still a-hoping. Law, I ain't been kissed in so long. I forgot whether it's done but drawing in your breath or blowing it out. That's right now, sure does. They say kissing spreads germs. I sure have spent a lot of healthy evenings in my life. We had a party the other night at Grinder's Switch, where I live at, and right in the middle of it, they started playing a game where they drawed a circle in the middle of the floor, and a girl would stand in the middle of the circle, and a fella would either have to kiss her or pay a fine. I made $11.34. One old boy didn't have no money with him, said he'd pay me come Saturday. But I'd like to take you all with me to Grinder's Switch sometime. Now, I've been talking about Grinder's Switch for now on to 20 years up here at the Grand Ole Opry, and there's several folks have asked me about Grinder's Switch, and I'd just love to take you with me. We've got more going on down there than you ever seen. River runs every day, train runs once a week. Everything going on down there, it's exciting. Now, last week, Chief Jones got one of them newfangled oil stoves, and that thing blowed Chief and his old lady clean out the top of the roof. First time they've been out together since they got married. He ain't like Lem Perkins. He takes his wife with him everywhere he goes. I said to him one day, I said, Lem, you thoughty? You take your wife with you everywhere you go. He said, yeah, she's so ugly, I'd rather take her with me than to kiss her goodbye. Well, so you know, a lot of folks have asked me about my hometown of Grinder's Switch. And I do love to talk about it now. I really do. Because Grinder's Switch is a wonderful place to go. And I'd love to show you where it is, but I'll have to take you with me. Of course, you'll know it when you see it. It's got a sign up there that says, welcome and goodbye to Grinder's Switch. I wished we'd have had room enough to put up 2 signs. It'd have looked a whole lot better. But we've got a whole lot of fine folks there, at least 50 or 75. And you know what? We've got a brand new fire engine. It's red. We're so proud of it. We did have a bucket brigade. Uncle Nabob was head of the bucket brigade. In fact, he's the biggest buckethead ever come out of Grinder Switch, I reckon. But you know what? We've got the finest fire engine, and it's got a sign up in front of it says, "May this fire engine be like all the old maids at Grinder's Switch, always ready and never called for." Yes, sir. We got a fine fire department there, too. Yes, sir. You know, Liam Perkins' house caught on fire the other day, and ordinarily it would have burned out by noon, but that fire department managed to keep it burning all day long. Oh, it's a fine fire department. Miss Lizzie Tinkham, she's old maid up at Grinder's Switch. She called up the fire department the other night, and she said, "Send the fire department! Send the fire department! There's a man trying to get in my upstairs window." And the fellow down at the fire department said, "Miss Lizzie, you don't need the fire department. You need the police department." She said, "No, I want the fire department. He needs a longer ladder." Miss Lizzie's the one said she went around to the parson and was telling him how she wanted her funeral arranged. And she told him all about how she wanted the funeral arranged. And then she said, "And the mainest thing I don't want nothing but women pallbearers." And the parson said, "Well, now, Miss Lizzie, that's an odd request." Said, "Why do you want just women pallbearers?" She said, "Well, if them old men won't take me out while I'm alive, I don't want them taking me out after I'm dead." But you know, we've got a lot of little young'uns around Grinder's Switch. Now, you take Ms. Orson Tugwell. Ms. Orson Tugwell has had 16 children altogether. Well, not all together either. She had them 2 or 3 at a time. But she's got a fine raft of young'uns. Boy, you see them little young'uns out there, all of them out playing in the yard, looks like school recess. I never seen them do. Well, Ms. Orson Tugwell has had so many young'uns, she's run out of names to call Orson. But we always get a real bang out of Ms. Orson Tugwell and her little old young'uns. There's the littlest one. He's the finest little old fella you ever seen in your life. Now, he's so bad, if you was to throw him in the water, he'd float upstream. I'm sure of that. One day she left him with me, and she said, "Now, the best way to calm him down is to just brush his hair. Just brush his hair with a brush." Well, I found out how to handle him with the brush. I didn't use the brush on his head. I used the opposite side of the brush on the opposite side of the young'un. I got him. Uncle Nabob said young'uns are just like boats. They do better if paddled. That's right, too. But you know what? She had this little old boy, one of her little young'uns was out playing in the pasture back during maneuvers, back during World War II, and there was some paratroopers training over here at Fort Campbell. And they had one of them maneuvers, and they dropped, some of the boys began dropping over there in the pasture with them parachutes on, and that little Orson Tugwell young'un hadn't never saw nothing like that before. And he seen them fellers begin falling out there in the pasture, and he run in the house, and he says, "Oh, Papa, come look quick. The storks done took to dropping them full growed." Oh, me. But we have had a lot of other things happen at Grinder's Switch. Now, just recently, Miss Fanny Boggs, she's done had her face lifted. I've been thinking about that myself. I declare, she kind of went to extremes, though. She tries awful hard to be young. She's dieted. Ooh, she has done dieted till her bones look like they're fixing to kick off the covers. I never seen that. She got an old dog, took her out in the backyard and buried her 3 times. Thought she's just a bone, you know. And she had her face lifted. She went to one of them plastered surgeons and had her face lifted, and they overdone it. I'm telling you the truth. She's pitiful. They've lifted her face to where now every time she sneezes, she blows her hat off. She wouldn't dare get caught out in the rain. That'd just be all of Miss Fanny. I'll tell you right now, it'd be too bad. But we do have a big time up there at Grinder's Switch, and a lot of things now. I'll tell you, there's a whole lot of folks, you know, talk about the newspaper, the Grinder's Switch Gazette. Well, the folks at Grinder's Switch, they don't read the newspaper to find out who's doing what. They just read the newspaper to find out if they got caught at it. Bye now.
Party at Grinder's Switch last night, and we had the best time you ever seen. There's folks there from all over, from Shady Grove and Who'd Have Thought It and Williamsport and as far away as Hohenwald. And fun, we had the best time. It was all of us young folks, that is who it was. And we had such a good time. There was one girl there, though. I don't know. Now, it seemed like to me she was kind of showing off a little. Her name was Elvira O'Beery. And she's from over at Shady Grove, and she had on one of them low-cut dresses, you know. She looked like she's poured into that dress, but not fur enough. And I'll tell you that she had all them fellers just a-buzzing around her like bees buzzing around the hive. It was just embarrassing to me. I can't stand to see somebody showing off like that. Just wished it had been me is all. That's all I got to say. No, it is awful. Them fellers, they just carried on. And Uncle Nabob was carrying on, just shining and carrying around. And Grandpappy Bustrum, he'll be 102 come tater digging time next. He was just a-cutting a fandango and a-dancing there and fell down and broke his gold walking cane his grandchildren had done give him for his birthday. He did. And I walked up to him and I said, Grandpappy, I said, you better be careful. You know, you're living on borrowed time. He said, gal, what I care if I'm living on borrowed time as long as I've got pretty girls to keep up the interest. Oh, me. Old Grandpappy's the one, you know, on his 97th birthday. Some of the fellers are sitting down around Steve Jones's store, and they're talking about if they had to die, how'd they best like to face death. And there's talking, one said he'd like to be facing the enemy, defending his country. And they got the old Grandpappy Bustrum and him, 97 years old at the time. He said the way he'd like to face death would be right then to be shot by a jealous husband. Oh, I tell you, there's life in that country down there. Just like me now. I get up and dance and carry on, you know. And I'd just like to show you now sometime, if you'll come go to a dance with me, there's life in the old dog yet, you know it? You can't look at a chassis and tell how many miles left under the hood. We was working up in Ohio one night here a while back, and there was a fella hollered out of the balcony, and he said, Minnie Pearl, why don't you sing that song that reminds me of you? And I said, what's that? He said, too old to cut the mustard. I said, you come down here on this stage and I'll show you. Last scene, he was doing a Hank Snow, Moving On. Oh, me. But, you know, Uncle Nabob's been having a little trouble with his hearing. Just got to where he can't hardly hear nothing, except what he wants to. He says it's awful convenient when Aunt Ambrosia gets to hollering at him. But sure enough, he has been having trouble with his hearing, and he went to see old Doc Payne. And Doc said, well, now, I'll tell you, Nabob, it's all them corn squeezins you've been drinking. He says, if you don't quit your corn squeezins, you're going to lose your hearing completely. Uncle Nabob says, well, I'll just keep on with the corn squeezins. I like what I'm drinking better than what I'm hearing anyway. But I know y'all be interested to know that my brother has got a new job. We have a hard time with brother. You know, brother goes looking for a job, and he considers himself lucky if he don't find one. He's a kind of an inventor. In fact, brother has invented a liquid that'll dissolve anything. No fooling, he really has. Only trouble is he can't find nothing to keep it in. He is a smart boy, you know it. But he had him a job the other day. He was helping a feller over at Centerville, Tennessee, that's right near Grinder's Switch, and he was helping him deliver papers every morning, bright and early, real early in the morning. And brother said he had to quit that job because them folks was so kind and so thoughty. They left milk in bottles everywhere he was putting out papers, And he hated to disappoint anybody, and he didn't feel like he could drink all that milk, so he had to give the job up. Like the time that he had that job down at Seif Jones's, he was sorting apples, and he'd put the bad apples in one barrel and the good apples in another. He had to quit that job. He said them decisions was killing him, just killing him. But my brother is a smart boy now. He was sitting down by the corner of the fence one day, and there was a fellow went by and stopped, and he said, "Boy," he said, "I'm lost." He said, "Where does that road go?" Brother said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, where does that one go?" Brother said, "I don't know." This fellow said, "Well, don't you know nothing?" Brother said, "I know I ain't lost." I'm a-going hunting, got my shotgun in my hand, but I ain't hunting rabbits, I'm hunting for a man. Done bought myself a license, and the first thing that I tree will end up either getting shot or coming home with me. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm hunting is a deer. Ain't had no target practice, and I guess my aim is bad. I aim to get a feller, when I do I'll be so glad. I ain't too particular and don't know what I'll find. I'm just looking for a man with loving on his mind. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, hunting season, and all I'm hunting is a deer. Hunters by the store, hunting ducks and elephants from here to Singapore. They'll kill lots of animals because they always do. I may not kill a single man, but I'll triple up a few. It's hunting season, hunting season, my favorite season of the year. It's hunting season, and all I'm a-hunting is a great big strong handsome deer. D-E-A-R, that is.
I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. I swear it true, darling, you're the only one. I think of you, of the past and all our fun. I love you, I'll prove it in days to come. You're my darling, you've been true, I should have been good to you. You're the one that's in my heart while we're apart. I'll be true, I'll prove it to you someday. I love you, in my heart you'll always stay. I've been so blue and lonesome all these days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways. I'll be nice and sweet to you, and no more will you be blue. I'll prove I love you you every day, all kinds of ways. So darling, please wait until I'm free. There'll be a change, a great change made in me. I'll be true, there never will be blue days. I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Where did you stay last night?
Well, I went to the corner for pretzels, and somebody turned out the light.
When I woke up this morning, I found my wife was gone.
So I phoned to the nearest tavern, said, bartender, put my wife on.
Irene, Irene, don't leave me. I beg on bended knee.
Come home, I need that picture.
And bring some pretzels for me.
You promised me the rainbow if I'd come back to you, but some of the colors I'm missing. All you give me was black and blue.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Wake up, you're snoring too loud.
You've dreamed the whole night through, dear.
Now the fields have got to be plowed.
I fell asleep last night, dear, while reading them new catalogs. I was dreaming of satins and laces till you called me to slop the hogs.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Tell me it's only a dream. Go look into the mirror
And see what makes me scream.
You said when we got married I'd really strike it rich.
Well, didn't we get you a job, dear?
Yeah, as a brakeman at old Grinder's switch.
Irene, Irene, good morning. You swore you'd leave last night.
But you're still here this morning.
And ready to start a fight. Woman, what do you mean coming in here at 3 o'clock in the morning with a pitcher full of pretzels and a handful of beer, telling me you've been to a picture show?
I'm sorry, baby, I won't do it no more. I don't do it never
Yeah,
again.
don't come singing that sad song to me. I've heard it before.
Not never again.
Oh, yes, you will. You done got a taste of it now.
Don't act so ugly and mean.
I'm sorry we ever got married. Good morning, Irene.
Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here. I'm gonna sing now. Let her go, fellers. You can have my coffee, you can have my tea. Just you let my feller be. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I like fiddle-style crowd. I get my mail on the rural route. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. don't bite, but my bulldog do. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I've got a dog, got the best in town. What I need's a good man to turn the damper down. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be. Now I may be old enough in years, but I can climb a hill without changing gears. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can Now, I ain't no beauty, don't dress so fine, but you ought to see me handle that feller of mine. I'm jealous, jealous-hearted me. I'm just as jealous as I can be.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Where did you stay last night?
Well, I went to the corner for pretzels, and somebody turned out the light.
When I woke up this morning, I found my wife was gone.
So I phoned to the nearest tavern, said, bartender, put my wife on. Irene, Irene, don't leave me, I beg on bended knee. Come home, I need that picture,
And bring some pretzels for me.
You promised me the rainbow if I'd come back to you, but some of the colors I'm missing. All you give me was black and blue.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Wake up, you're snoring too loud. You've dreamed the whole night through, dear.
Now the fields have got to be plowed.
I fell asleep last night, dear, while reading them new catalogs. I was dreaming of satins and laces till you called me to slop the hogs.
Irene, Irene, good morning. Tell me it's only a dream.
Go look into the mirror
And see what makes me scream.
You said when we got married I'd really strike it rich.
Well, didn't we get you a job, dear?
Yeah, as a brakeman at old Grinder's switch.
Irene, Irene, good morning. You swore you'd leave last night, but you're still here this morning.
and ready to start a fight. Woman, what do you mean coming in here at 3 o'clock in the morning with a pitcher full of pretzels and a handful of beer, telling me you've been to a picture show?
I'm sorry, baby, I won't do it no more. I won't do it never
Yeah,
again.
don't come singing that sad song to me. I've heard it before.
Not never again.
Oh, yes, you will. You done got a taste of it now.
Don't act so ugly and mean.
I'm sorry we ever got married. Good morning.